On July 7, 2026, Cristiano Ronaldo walked off the pitch after Portugal's elimination from the FIFA World Cup. At 41 years old, wearing his nation's captain armband for the final time, a massive chapter in sports history came to a close. For the thousands of supporters in the Dallas Stadium and millions around the world, this was the conclusion of a deeply personal journey they had watched unfold in real time for over 2 decades. He left the tournament as the only player in history to score in 6 different World Cups, a feat that required him to maintain elite-level finishing for 20 consecutive years. This line graph maps the physical peak of a standard professional footballer against their age. In a high-impact sport, biology enforces a predictable decline. By their early 30s, joints degrade and speed wanes, forcing a transition toward retirement. But when tracking Ronaldo's performance, the line holds. His trajectory bypasses the expected decline, remaining steady through his mid-30s and pushing past his 41st birthday. Competing at this level for this long requires a complete overhaul of how an athlete manages physical decay. His longevity is the result of a lifelong obsession with out-engineering the aging process through absolute discipline. Born on the Portuguese island of Madeira, Ronaldo grew up in a household with very little money. Surrounded by narrow streets and limited opportunities, football served as a way to build a future outside the island. At just 12 years old, he left his family to join the Sporting Lisbon Academy. The move induced severe homesickness, placing a heavy emotional burden on a child hundreds of miles from home. He channeled that isolation into the game. With no family nearby, he stayed on the pitch long after practice ended, using the quiet hours to run extra sprint drills. Physically, he was smaller and leaner than many of his peers. To compensate, he committed to a training volume that exceeded everyone else in the academy, building a tolerance for high-intensity work. Before he had access to specialized sports science, his foundational advantage was a high psychological threshold for enduring repetitive, exhausting labor. His raw effort found a strategic framework when Sir Alex Ferguson brought him to Manchester United. Under elite management, his potential began to take a more specific physical shape. At Old Trafford, his training protocol shifted. Technical training was supplemented with strict dietary controls and intense gym sessions designed to add explosive muscle to his frame. This physical evolution allowed him to outmuscle Premier League defenders, secure Champions League titles, and win his first Ballon d'Or in 2008. His move to Real Madrid focused his training even further on explosive power. He was no longer just a fast winger, he was becoming an optimized scoring machine. The results were visible in his vertical leap. He could suspend himself in midair to deliver strikes like his bicycle kick against Juventus, reaching heights that most defenders simply couldn't contest. Throughout his 20s, Ronaldo maximized the athletic limits of his peak years, scoring over 450 goals for Madrid. But by age 30, recovery times naturally lengthen. For most athletes, this is when the accumulation of injuries begins to slow their output. His move to Turin coincided with a necessary change in focus. The goal was no longer just to build power, but to engage in aggressive, daily maintenance. He adopted a punishing routine. While teammates rested, he executed pre-sunrise gym sessions and running drills, treating early morning work as a non-negotiable requirement of his career. His recovery became as intense as his training. Agonizing ice baths were scheduled to reduce inflammation and protect his muscle fibers from the wear and tear of a long season. Even in his early 40s, he treated every day as a calculated defense against physical decline. He maintained the same volume of work in Saudi Arabia that he had established years earlier in Europe. While his contemporaries retired to the sidelines, his daily grind became a constant effort to prove that the standard timeline for an athlete's career could be extended. When the final whistle blew on Portugal's defeat to Spain in 2026, it marked the end of his competitive international career. He left the pitch without the World Cup trophy, a singular objective that remained unfulfilled after 2 decades of attempts. But his presence in that match at age 41 is a testament to the work done away from the cameras. He reached the final stage of his career in better physical condition than many players 10 years younger. He changed the expectation for the modern athlete, demonstrating that a player's physical prime does not have to end at 30. He walked away a pioneer of longevity. With enough discipline, a player can maintain an elite physical profile long after peers have left the game. The final score of his last match, remains a footnote to the invisible, daily discipline that allowed him to reach it.
Thanks for watching Extra Time Arena. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button